You are listening to Beyond the Verse, a Star Citizen podcast. A show dedicated to Cloud Imperium games, Star Citizen, and Squadron 42. Whether you fight, explore, unite, and/or trade, we bring you news, updates, interviews, reviews, and analysis. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a pour of Radagast, and join us as we go Beyond the Verse.
Launch sequence activated.
Hello, friends, and welcome to Beyond the Verse, Star Citizen podcast. I'm your host, Solus, and this is episode 103. We are previewing both 411 and it's like the second preview of the Invictus Launch week coming to you next Thursday on May 15th. We have a lot to get through today. It's going to be a hot and heavy episode. A lot of content was dropped this last week. So quickly, segments today will include from the community. We got a lot of comments and a lot of polls to get through, but all exciting topics of conversation. We're going to go through, again, the 411 latest patch notes in the PTU. We have a pledge store refresh. It's going to look different. It's going to feel different. And so we're going to highlight that as like a low-hanging news to report on. We have the May subscriber promotions. We have the roadmap update, the Star Citizen monthly report, and the Inside Star Citizen episode that came out yesterday. That is over 60 missions that we can expect in 411, as well as a little preview for Invictus Launch Week. And please stay to the very, very, very end, because we will have the second lore drop of Invictus Launch Week. We're going to get into Invictor. We're going to get into the Mesa regime and how that came around, and it's going to be good to add color and context to what's going down starting next week. All right, welcome in. Wherever I'm meeting you today or this morning or over the weekend, I hope I find you well. Whether you're at the gym, driving, in between work, again, I hope you're in a good place. Because I am. It's going to be a really good weekend. Just from a personal standpoint, I just want to share with y'all. Today is my wife and I and my 16th anniversary. So another good reason for me to be recording this episode at 4:58 a.m. on a Friday, because she's still sleeping. So I'm not about to use anniversary time on a podcast. So I'm doing this when she's still sleeping. So yay to us. And because we got married 16 years ago, we have a Mother's Day to celebrate on Sunday with my 9-year-old son, 6-year-old daughter. So it's going to be a very fun, potentially expensive weekend for me. So send your prayers and maybe send some money. But it's going to be a fun, weekend. So that's all exciting, man. But next week is Invictus Launch Week. And again, my absolute favorite time of the year for Star Citizen. I like the theme, like the thematics. I like the military backdrop as opposed to IAE that happens in November. So this is, I can't wait. I can't wait. So last night in Soul Provision, our in-game organization, we continue to do what we have created and called Soul Reaper. So Soul Reaper, again, a play off of Soul Provision. So it's SOL. Soul Reaper. The mission that we created, it's kind of like a hodgepodge. It's a culmination of a bunch of different game loops where we have an attack element or a bounty hunting group that goes and takes out an ERT, a VHRT, a difficult bounty that's happening primarily up in space. So we go and we attack. We actually we fully manned a hammerhead last night, which you might as well take advantage of Org nights and play with Org ships. So we took the hammerhead out. We took out a bunch of ships. Now following behind us is a cargo crew. So usually when you go to an ERT, VHRT, when you soft death those vehicles, you can have a crew get on and remove boxes. And there's a lot of weevil eggs and rare materials that you can get and sell. So we have a cargo element that comes in from behind that strips the defeated vehicles of their cargo. And then we have a third wave of salvagers that come by with a reclaimer or multiple vultures and start to take apart those defeated ships. So it's this entire effort. We rotate throughout the night so you're not stuck in one job role. I think I've described Soul Reaper to y'all before, and I'm sure some of y'all will go and take it back to your orgs and kind of copy and paste, and that's perfectly fine. Like, we support that. It's not a weird, like, we created it, how dare you do it? But it's just something that we do to kind of kill time. And right now, we're killing time. I tell you that whole anecdote, that whole story, because the community is kind of sitting and waiting. There is no hinting at when we're getting 411. Now, I will maintain, you've heard me several times on this podcast say this, I will maintain that 411 should drop soon. Whether it's tonight or over the weekend or early next week, it should drop so that we can start getting some of the bugs of the 60 plus missions that are coming out. We should try to get some of those bugs fixed, because they've announced that not only on May 15th is Invictus Launch Week, not only is it a drop of the Hunt for the Polaris, but it's also a free fly event. They've confirmed that they're going to open up the game for free to play. So it's going to be pure and utter chaos starting on May 15th. So if you don't get this out now with a more quote unquote controlled audience, I feel, and a lot of individuals feel like you're not doing your due diligence to prevent what is predictably just mad chaos starting on Thursday. So I think we're going to see 411 in the very, 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 very near future. We'll see. We have yet to see an RC. We have yet to see a release candidate. So I don't know. Usually you see RCs, throughout a couple of days. And then you can predict either later that night or the next day there'll be the release to live PU, but we haven't seen that yet. So that's why I'm saying, like, there's no indicators at all. So, all right, there we are. So there's the update. That's where we're at right now. Let's get into the show. But before we do any of the segments, hey, check this out. Watch this. Ready? Last episode, this didn't work. My screen is showing, hey, congratulations. Like 103 episodes. And then before that, 6 years of podcasting, you would think I'd have I'd have this down. But even the most seasoned content creator and podcaster can tell you shit happens. And so last week, if you didn't watch last week's episode, I was screen sharing the wrong monitor and it was showing just blackness. I fixed it halfway through the episode, but here we are. Hopefully this is coming through. I'm going to find out in like an hour. If it's not, I'm going to lose my mind. But here we are. This is about you. So this is our community. Sure, I paved the way, but this is y'all's community. This is your listenership. That's not a word. This is your this is your backing, your patronage, right? So let's celebrate this for a little bit. So we have a lot of milestones. We actually have two major milestones I want to call out for where we are in the April monthly show review for Beyond the Verse podcast. So here we go. All right. In 101 episodes, we still have the 17 bonus Org Night episodes, and we still have that one single arc episode of the book review. Beyond the Verse podcast has reached over 83 countries, listening into 59.3 thousand plays and watching 55.9 thousand views. Our in-game organization Soul Provision grew to 304 Discord members and 173 Spectrum members. And so I do want to pull your attention to the YouTube. We did surpass the 1 million impressions. 1 million impressions over on YouTube. That's incredible. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for saying hi. Thanks for liking and subscribing and doing all the engagement things, which, by the way, if you're listening and this is ringing close to you and this is something you enjoy listening to, do that small step for a couple seconds. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends. That small step can help us grow this community even more. So I wanted to celebrate that We're about to surpass 3,000 followers over on Twitter or X. So that's almost a milestone. But the second milestone, and the reason why I'm wearing my Extra Life t-shirt, right? We surpassed $1,000 raised year to date for Extra Life. Again, Extra Life is our philanthropy effort for this year. All the money goes directly to children's hospitals. And it's like I've always said before, it's 100% pass through. I don't even see it. The link that you click on goes directly to Extra Life. But again, you're supporting children's hospitals for treatments, medication for kids in needs. And so $1,000 have been raised because of you and your generosity. That's 20% to our goal. So we're like really far behind. I set a very aggressive goal of $5,000. We're at $1,000 of it. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very hot and heavy next couple of months. We only have like 7 months left. I think that's how math works. 7 + 5 is 12. So let's get after it. If something is speaking to your heart and you decide that you want to help support through a gaming endeavor like Star Citizen, anything helps. $5, $10, $25. But I do want to shout out those individuals in the last couple of weeks that have pushed us past the $1,000 mark. So there you go. So I did want to take a second to celebrate where we are, or we were, and where we are. Let's see where we go. You're in control, right? So here we go.
Incoming message.
I actually almost hit the wrong bumper, but all right, here we go. Episode 102 from last week. We asked the poll question: will you be picking up the Starlancer TAC this Invictus launch week? One second. Excuse me. Will you be picking up the Starlancer TAC this Invictus launch week? There was not Inside Star Citizen. There was a Behind the Ships episode last Thursday that showcased the Starlancer TAC. And here's your responses. So we had yes, but from last year. So there was a pledge for it in 2024. So yes, but from last year. And then there's yes. Then there's no, but in game when able. And then no, will not be. So as you can see on the screen, the majority of you, 42.9%, said yes, but you've already pledged for it. It's something that you did last year, and you're going to reap the benefits here in the week when you get to fly your brand new Starlancer TAC. It looks amazing. I don't want to rehash the conversation from last week, but it looks like a really good all-around ship. And that elevator, not elevator, the hangar to put the Furies in, is very, very, very attractive. It seems like a very good drop ship option for us. All right. So then 35.7% say no, but you will in game when you raise enough UEC. Makes total sense. That's probably my bucket as well. I got the Starlancer Max because of cargo, and that's what we do in Soul Provision. So I got the Max. I don't think I'm going to invest in the TAC. It'll be something I try to get in game with UEC as well. And then 14.3% of you said yes, you will be picking it up next week when it comes on sale. And then one of you, 7.1%, says no, you will not be picking up the Starlancer TAC. It's not your flavor, not your cup of tea. All right, here we go. So we have 12 comments to get through. Ooh, this says 19. We just got blown up with comments. All right, so if you left a comment, recognize that there's 19. So we're going to go through these pretty damn quick. So I hope that's okay. So here we go. Brett Sanders. I'm planning on getting the TAC. Also looking at what else releases, always exciting around these times. I am very, and I mean very slowly, trying to write a book and hope the TAC will allow me to have extra ideas for writing more in my books. I have very little written, LOL. Well, about a page, but it's been hard to sit down and try to write lately. How do you get in the moment when trying to write down the content or make content? Okay, so first off, you're hitting kind of the nail on the head. When I used to do this for New World, and I went really heavy into the lore. In fact, I had my own role-playing story through New World that I was publishing on podcast. The best thing to do is get in game. Like, I would get in game and role play as that character, and I would really just tell the story. I'd record myself playing, and I would like wake up as that character. What would I actually do in game? What would I actually choose to do? I would describe the settings around me using the game's graphics. But then I'd also pick, 2 or 3 also creative minds within the company, is what we call them in New World, that would also kind of come and help. Sorry about that. That would also come and help and give me ideas and give me some kind of different ways of looking at things. So, but the immersion, like that is the best way to get into moods. And so at the end of this episode, when we go through the second iteration of the Invictus Launch Week lore, that's what I did. I actually went to the PTU. I actually went to the Bevic Center in Area 18. And as I was walking around, it helped me kind of put flavor to the lore drop. So I hope that helps. Hope that addresses your question. Good luck on your book, sincerely. So Billy the Beast writes, I am excited for Anvil Day and Drake Day. Hope to see the Paladin and the Ironclad. Yeah, not going to get into ship predictions anymore because we have no idea. I mean, we do know because of yesterday's Invictus Inside Star Citizen, good Lord, we do know the Asgard is coming out. We do know the Grey Cat, it's like MPC or MTC, multiple troop carrier. I don't know. Anyways, there's a ground asset from Grey Cat. So we know those 2. We know the Starlancer TAC. So we know 3, but they said 4 plus the TAC. So who knows? I have my suspicions. I have my ideas. I think we'll see the Paladin and Ironclad like either in a holographic, but I don't think that those are going to come available for us to fly personally. Maybe the Idris. All right, let's move on. All right, Groza, good Lord. Okay, this is the comment of the day. He's going to get me canceled at some point. So this is a quote, and this is a quote from a listener, a beloved listener. And I told you I would read all quotes if they were appropriate. This is like borderline appropriate. So here we go. Groza. Like the Israelites in ancient Egypt, I have smeared the blood of Stillwicker Beast over the doorposts and lintels of my Polaris in the hopes that Solus, the angel of death, and the 10th plague of Stanton passes over me and spares my unworthy solo piloting life. May August Dunlow watch over me. Amen. P.S. Looking forward to Drake's inclusion in Invictus Launch Week this year. Okay, so again, for like the 3rd episode in a row, I made a comment of like, you should not be able to be successful and fly the Polaris. Okay, that's actually softening what I said. I said like they should all die in game, and I specify last episode in game. So I think Groza's just continuing on. That's fine. It's very Groza. All right, Garth Andrew McKenzie writes, I absolutely love Star Citizen on my 57-inch G9 monitor. It's so immersive. I got a new monitor. It's like 35 inches, and I'm like, hey, this is beautiful. But as I bought this monitor, it was next to a massive Samsung Galaxy. I think it was the G9. So 57 inches, ridiculous. Corrupted data. Is it data or data? What do you say? Data or data? Corrupted data. Flying a Polaris around by yourself sounds lonely. Do you need a friend? Why not try to join an org? Soul Provision. Yes, join an org. Those are fun. Jackal Rook writes, with talking about org sizes and ship crew necessities, what do you think CIG should do, or what do you think CIG should do for 10 or less member orgs, if anything? P.S. Hope you get the black screen figured out. Well, I got the black screen figured out, hopefully. I think there are ships that are more appropriate for smaller orgs. So I think this conversation will always get someone in trouble, whether it's me or a certain party or group. It's a very difficult conversation because if I am Jim Bob and Jim Bob only has 10 minutes to play for a month because he's busy, but he wanted to spend $3,000 on a Javelin, there's a hard conversation to be had of like, okay, is that $3,000 wasted? Like if he's never able to like get into an org or play with multiple people, is he ever going to be successful flying that $3,000 ship? Right. So like there are things in the game that are coming out like blades and the AI blades and the automated turrets and et cetera, et cetera. There are things that can help, but it's not the same. You're not going to be that successful with artificial intelligence. They've even said, like very specifically, that these will not be equivalent to having humans man your turrets. So is there going to be ways that you can be successful? So I think in my last couple of seconds, I think I answered that question. I think CIG is doing something for smaller organizations by giving automated turrets, by giving this more power to the pilot, right? We call them slaving in the military, like slaving turrets or slaving cables or something to a vehicle. I think that's probably at this point probably outdated and maybe inappropriate. So whatever they're calling it nowadays, they're giving more control to the pilot. So in a Corsair, they have access to all of the ship weapon systems as opposed to just a few. So in like the chin turrets, right? Like in most ships, most multi-crew ships, the pilot has access to like just the chin turret, but not necessarily full, 360 security. So I think they are doing something about it, but I do think that there are more org appropriate size ships. And I think you're going to start seeing those. So maybe not a Javelin, maybe not an Idris, but you've got the Polaris. You're about to have the Perseus, right? You've got the Starlancer TACs, right? You've got these other, pretty formidable options. I just think there's going to be Javelins for sole provision sized orgs, right? When you have 300 plus individuals, what does that look like? I think that's actually my retort. My question back to you is, okay, what is CIG doing for the 300 org? Now, I know there's going to be base building and there's going to be bases up in space and orbital stations, yada, yada. But the Javelin, touts, I think it's 80 people to run the Javelin. So if you have the Javelin, 80 people are running it. What about the other 220? So I think both sides of that coin. Like, what is CIG going to do about that massive organization? And then what are they doing for those smaller organizations that still want to fly something big? So phenomenal question. I hope I addressed it. Moving on to Soundwave Ghost. Not unwilling to be the pilot that solos a big ship to drop off a crew, but also not wanting to cheese an encounter by having a giant ship like Polaris Plus as nothing more than a big wedge to troll folks. Having explored the PTU Idris a bit, I can't say I wouldn't say no to one. Again, that kind of, I agree with 100%. But like, if you want to fly the Idris, you should be able to fly the Idris and not be penalized for it. But, Anna writes, I just saw what you said about the map. That is Area 18. Devices where the ships are. And the center looks similar to Area 18 Plaza because it is. So I did take time last week to create some videos. There's two 2-minute videos on how to get to the Idris experience and how to get to the showroom floor at Bevic Center. So I went ahead and I went into the PTU. I didn't think that there was any spoilers in there, but I did want to do a how-to. So if you're on X, if you're on TikTok, find us or go to our website, beyondtheversehq.com. It'll have links to everything, but there are videos on how to get there. So absolutely, it shows you how to get there, what it looks like from the outside. I don't go in and ruin anything. So I don't go into any halls. I don't go and show you anything that you don't already know or have already seen. So, yep, the Bevic Center is in the same place it's always been. No changes there. I think where the confusion is I made the comment that the map is different, right? So like the map layout is different because they did make significant changes. You're going to hear about it inside Star Citizen. They made significant changes to what the inside of the Bevic Center looks like. So the map that I was talking about was the map of the inside. And what's interesting is like the map that they showed us had like the Idris experience at like the top. It has nothing to do with the Bevic Center. It's nowhere near the Bevic Center. The Idris experience is on the other side of Area 18. You got to go to IO North Tower, which if you're thinking with me here, you go through, like you wake up from your habs, you go through the hallways, and when it starts opening up to the circle area in Area 18, one of those towers is IO North, right? So from the habs, you come out of the hallway, it's the first tower on your left. So it's a completely different area, but having it on that map they gave us was a little off-putting. So moving on, let's go. Nick. Nick writes, I have the TAC Pledge and I'm excited to see it in the game. How is the org with people in Europe? I like how your org sounds, but the time difference is concerning me. I would love to have people to play Star Citizen with. Hey, full transparency. We are a US org at this moment, right? So I set out for Sole Provision to have direct control over the culture and what is being built as like tools and resources. I think we're in a good place. I know we're in a good place. I have phenomenal officers in place. So I think we've had some pillars that needed to be created, like with my supervision and my vision. And I think we've established that. We have the intent of growing global. Like we do have an intent to have an EU arm, but the purpose or the vision that I have is a copy and paste. So what we have created that is working well for the US, we should be able to copy and paste and just say, all right, we need to find a leader for the EU, and they would just execute what we've already created. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? I don't think we're there yet. And I don't think we will be there until org tools get matured and finalized in Star Citizen. So right now, just a US org, but feel free to still join us. You can hang out in Discord. You can be part of decision making. You can be part of the community and the culture, tools and resources, all that stuff. But as far as like planning events and org nights and having, random tours of Invictus Launch Week, yeah, it's going to be all based around US time. So thank you for the question, but we will eventually become global. All right, Dakota Riley. I can't wait for the TAC. Getting that out of buybacks at the end of the event myself. Sadly, the Starlancer BLD was not for sale last year. Otherwise, I would have bought that too. Oh well, my money stays in my wallet for another day, which is hard to believe for you. You like to spend money, but who am I to say anything? The Pioneer will do me fine in the meantime. I'm looking forward to Invictus Launch Week and hoping we can attempt an org-wide Titanfall drop into the convention center with our Atlas Geos. Samsung G8 ultra-wide gang here. Love my OLED monitor. Yeah, well, it's not the G9 Samsung monitor, so go buy yourself another $3,000 monitor. Yeah, we're going to have an org night next Thursday. We're going to be touring both the Idris experience and the hall, the showroom floor. So I can't wait for that. It's always a good time. That's a good idea. Let's find some creative ways of arriving at the event. Snoop Doug, I love your name. Snoop Doug. Let's be honest. They originally made the Hunt for the Polaris mission in Idris with a custom interior. There's multiple NPC Idris in-game events coming soon, and they're adding a tourable Idris during Invictus. The thing is begging to finally release. Yeah, I'm going to get into this here in a couple seconds because I asked a poll that went viral. The freaking Idris, man. Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a second. So good sentiment. Good tease to what's coming up in the next couple of seconds. All right, last, David Leopard writes, another good podcast. Thanks. I said no initially on the TAC survey, but I'm guessing I'll end up picking it up in game down the road, especially if I can get my brothers into Star Citizen. It looks like a perfect small unit drop and support ship. When I look at it, I can't help but see the love child of an AC-130 and a Chinook. 100% agree with you. I do. 100% agree with you. Good luck on getting your brothers involved in Star Citizen. This game is infinitely better with friends and, more importantly, family. Friends that become family. But yeah, I hope it works out. I hope they get into it. I will never be able to tell you that this is the right time. It is. The free fly event next week is going to be chaotic. I personally will not be recommending any of my friends joining next week. I just don't want their first experience to be a bad one. So we'll see. It depends on when they first launch 411, out of all respect to the decision makers in the studio. So there you go. A pretty long comment section for today. Thank you so much. I love the engagement. If I could spend an entire hour, an entire episode talking about y'all's comments and ideas, I would. So feel free to email us as well, contact@beyondtheversehq.com. And of course, respond to the poll, respond to the comment section in Spotify, and we'll read them just like we did today. Okay, we do want to go back to the community, or stay with the community just for a couple more seconds. We had a fun poll, one that's not really thought-provoking or anything. It was just it was a fun poll. But as I was putting my gear together from Crusader to travel over to Area 18, which is worthless because when 411 drops, you have to choose your new residence again, and everything will get set back to your permanent residence or your primary residence. But anyways, I like role playing regardless. I was like, I went to the Orison, like grocery mart. What's it called? The Well-Tech or whatever. I went to the grocery store, and I saw all 4 cruises, and I'm like, man, I forgot there's 4 of them. We know the green one's everywhere, right? The Cruise Lux. We know it's everywhere. So I'm like, I don't know, just decided to ask the community, which one do you drink? They're all the same. They just, some cost more than others. And so I dropped the question for the cruise. Perhaps one of the most important questions you'll get asked about Star Citizen today. Which cruise do you roll with? And tell us why in the comments. So 908 views, 86 votes. Again, it's just fun. We're just having fun. 67.4% said the Cruise Lux Green. That's the default. That's the easy one. 16.3% say the Cruise Dark, which is the purple one. 9.3% says it's the Cruise the Cruise Pulse, which is the red one. And then 7% say the Cruise Flow, which is the blue one. And I think we have options throughout the verse, but it's interesting when you have all 4 as an option. Like, I don't know. Do you choose based off of color? Off of the cheapest option? I thought that was super interesting. All right. We also had May the 4th, right? We had a Star Wars May the 4th. I'd say holiday. It's not a holiday. It's just something, it's some stupid guy cultural, like, May the 4th be with you. It's a Star Wars thing, but I decided to ask like the debate. So I personally chose 4 options that I thought were pretty comparable, that are competitive with each other. I know there's others like The Expanse, which is a phenomenal show, but I know there's others, right? But with Star Wars, I asked, what's your favorites, right? Star Wars versus Star Trek versus Battlestar Galactica versus Stargate. And you can see the results. So 1,851 views, 381 votes. Of course, Star Wars wins. It always does. 60.6%. Right behind that, well, not right behind, pretty significantly far behind, is Star Trek at 16.3%, Stargate at 13.9%, and then Battlestar Galactica at 9.2%. In the comment section, a lot of you definitely said The Expanse. Like right here, we have a comment, The Expanse. And then it is hard to choose one out of all 4 of those. Go watch them all if you haven't already. Like every single one of these holds their own fire. Okay, here we go. The freaking Idris. All right. I will maintain, I've said that a couple times this episode, I will maintain that the Idris will not be flyable Invictus Launch Week. I stick to my guns. Historically, CIG has said that the Idris is a Squadron 42 vessel, will not be available until Squadron 42 is released, right? Okay. Then what the hell is the CIG marketing team doing? It's freaking everywhere. This Invictus Launch Week. It's literally everywhere. For the promotion, there's a t-shirt. When it's not even the Aegis Day, we have a freaking hologram of the Idris when you first walk into the showroom floor. Of course, we have the tourable. I'm less excited about the tour. Oh, okay. I'm less shocked by the tour because we've historically had those. We've been able to tour the Javelin. We've been able to tour the Idris before, so that's not really anything new. Now, I am excited because it's completely done. When you walk into the tour and you walk through it yourself, every room is available. You can go and sit and do all you want to your heart's desire. Like, that is a done ship. The Idris is done. Okay? But it's everywhere, right? Literally everywhere. And so there's a lot of people, and I'm included, there's a lot of people, we're starting to kind of waver on how we feel about whether or not it is coming. Now, again, I still believe we're not going to get it. But it also would make sense if we did. All right, so bear with me here. Bear with me. Let me actually just go back to so I can look at you. It would be smart if they released the Idris P, the Idris Peacemaker, if they released it this next week, right? It would be smart. They're building hype. Next year is Squadron 42, which good luck against GTA 6. No other game's going to matter next year when GTA 6 comes out. Sorry, it's the truth if you look at metrics and just facts. So good luck. But when Squadron 42 launches, like literally next year, you have to consider that they need to start the marketing campaign for Squadron 42 at some point, right? At some point. Why not invigorate your player base that's already in the game? Like, they're already in Star Citizen. Why not tease them, give them a little bit of Squadron 42? And what better way than to give them the Idris Peacemaker? Right, we're going to fly that. We're going to get crazy about it. You're going to hear an uproar. The community is going to be loud about it. You're going to see videos. You're going to see all of this like increased engagement, and then ride that wave for a year. Ride that wave. Let your community do a lot of your marketing push for you, a lot of your PR for you, right? That is kind of the future of studios, right? Is kind of leaning in on content creators to kind of carry that voice and carry that message for studios. But I can't think of a better way than giving us the Idris P. And then if they wanted to keep their word, they could specify that the Idris M, the military variant, the Idris M, we won't see until Squadron 42 comes out. That's fine. I don't think there's anybody who's going to argue with that. That's a great idea, right? The Idris M, you can only get the Idris M out of like the Praetorian pack and the Legatus pack. Like, you can't just, even when it's Aegis Day, you're not going to be able to get the Idris M. Hold up. I need to back my, like, you actually might be able to. Because now that I'm thinking about it, I think there were 2 versions of the Idris that you can pick up, plus the aftermarket kit. So you can get the Idris P with the aftermarket kit, which I think makes it an Idris K. I don't know. But it's like the difference between a railgun and a laser cannon. And so the Idris M, I actually do think you can get the Idris M. I do at this point. Anyways, I will confirm and get back to you on socials. But maybe they can say the Idris M or even the aftermarket kit are not going to be available until Squadron 42 comes out. So you could still, I don't know, stick to your commitments, keep to your promises if you wanted to. But this is a lot of effort. This is a lot of effort, a lot of asset creation for something that's not going to come out for another 12 months. So I don't know. I'll stop with the hype. Like, you make your own conclusion. I don't even know if I'm going to make it a poll question for the end of this episode, because I don't know. Enjoy what is coming out for Invictus Launch Week, and when or if the Idris does not become flyable, I don't want anybody mad at me. So let's move on. Twitter, I did ask the poll. Right? I asked the poll, time for the community to go on record. Will we see the Idris released in the hands of players this Invictus Launch Week? And I think this is super, super telling. Here we go. Look at the results. So 1,800 views, 366 votes. 366. So keep that in mind. Only 57%, 57.9% say that we're not going to see it. I thought that was going to be significantly higher. I thought the no's would be like 90%. But we have 57.9% out of 366 votes that say we're not going to see it. So 42.1% of you say yes. I don't know. The whole community has kind of shifted, because I remember a day like last year, no one would have said that. No one would have said Idris before Squadron 42. But because of everything that they're doing, and we're going to get into the subscriber promotions here in a second, because of everything that they've been doing, the t-shirts and everything, I don't know. They'd almost be stupid not to. So yeah, there's a follow-on question. So, and this is like kind of more debatable. So the second poll of the Aegis Idris, whenever the Idris is released, will it remain limited quantity, or will it become available to the general player base to buy? Okay, this is a little bit less involvement, only 970 views, but still 193 votes, so just under 200 votes. 68.9% of you say remain limited quantity, and 31.1% say general availability. Okay, here is the spirit of my question. Okay, every game has to monetize. Every game. Unless you are a content-bound single-player game like Expedition 33, Squadron 42, like, you're going to have to monetize. You're going to have to figure out a way to pay for the live services. Star Citizen, at this current moment, Star Citizen is the ships. It's the ships. Like, they're not going to keep the studio alive by providing FPS items. They're keeping it alive by selling ships, right? Why would you, as a studio, why would you not want to open the floodgates for profit? Right? For as if you open up the ship to general availability, anybody who can afford $1,700 is going to pick up the Idris. So you would just open the floodgates. I know why strategically, right? You don't want 100 Idrises flying around in one shard. Like, okay, this makes sense from a management perspective. But I feel, I don't know, I feel like the limited quantity is good for like building FOMO. It's good for building up the hype, and maybe it is pushing people to spend that money who wouldn't normally spend the money. Okay, I see that. But at some point, I feel like they're going to have to really lean in. And I don't know, like, don't make them limited quantity. There's a part of me that thinks the Javelin is a $3,000 ship. I mean, that in and of itself is going to limit the quantity. There's not a lot of 18-year-olds that are going to be able to pay for a $3,000 Javelin, right? So I think the cost alone is its own gate. But there's a part of me that's like, if the Idris P does release in the next couple of days, are they just releasing it to a limited quantity? Or is it a big fanfare of like, hey, it's released. Come and get it. Here's your pledge store. So I think there's some debate here. I think overwhelmingly, 68.9% of you say remain limited quantity. I'm actually in that bucket. I think it would remain limited quantity, but I think it's a fair debate. It's a fair question. If you're a studio, do you put a limited quantity on a huge moneymaker like the Javelin, the Idris, the Kraken? Or do you just open it up to see just how much profit you can make? So, okay, we're like 40 minutes into this episode, and we're just now into This Week in Star Citizen. So we're going to move a little faster than I wanted to through the content, and that's fine. We're not going to skip anything. But I do want to get to, at the very end, the lore drop. Spent a lot of time on that, so I'm kind of, I kind of want to get to what I created. So let's move a little swiftly through This Week in Star Citizen. So here we go. Last week, we shared a few details about the upcoming Invictus Launch Week 2955 to help you prepare for the festivities, and with it, our first behind the ship Starlancer TAC show highlighting the first new vehicle arriving at this year's event. We're fast approaching the live release of Alpha 411 thanks to all of your support and participation on the PTU. It's an incredibly rewarding process for our teams to be able to dive into the wealth of feedback you all share with us each and every day. Thank you. Lastly, this past weekend, we had the pleasure of meeting many of you in person during Bar Citizen stops at both Korea, Tennessee. That's Korea and Tennessee. Tennessee does not have a city called Korea. These events mean more to us than we can say. Getting to talk ship, share stories, and nerd out over all things space with fellow pilots always recharges our batteries. We're already counting down the days until we can do it all again next week in China and in Spain. All right, now let's see what's going on this week. We had the subscriber promotions, which we'll get into in just a second. We have the roadmap updates, the April monthly report, which we're probably going to skip the April monthly report just to get through some of the content. Inside Star Citizens 411 video that we are going to watch together. It's worth it. 60 plus episodes. I want to talk about it. I want to react to it. Of course, there's 2 ships that are dropped. Surprises, teases, reveals. So we want to talk about those when we watch the video as well. And then the Thursday patch watch got delayed. So we got a message on Spectrum that stated the patch watch was going to drop on Friday. So I think last time there was a patch watch, that day is when the patch dropped. Pretty sure, if I remember correctly. So if we see the patch watch drop on Friday, we could see maybe the release candidate in the PTU also drop maybe today, with maybe over the weekend seeing 411 become live on the PU. So just a little bit of speculation. All right. For our first news, it's more just updating you on the latest PTU. So 411 in the PTU, yesterday was the latest patch update. So just want to come over here and highlight this. I will say last night's org night, the player cap per shard was increased to 700. I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but when I was pulling the 20 of us into a shard, it was like 400 out of 700. So there's some trickery going on here. I don't know where they're going to land the plane here, but for this latest 411, it is the 7 to 3 to 600 mesh configuration, right? So 7 servers in Stanton, 3 servers in Pyro, max headcount of 600 per shard. There you go. Really no changes there. The testing focus, we have stability and bug fixes, thank God. We have the ship battle missions, which is patrol, ambush, Gillies advanced combat gauntlet missions. We have repair missions, animal missions, PvP bounties, hunt for the Polaris mission, the UEE training mission, Fleet Week hauls, and the Wicklow new rewards. We have some known issues that they're working on. Congratulations. We have locations, gameplay, hunt for the Polaris, ship weapons, and recoil reactions. Here we go. We're testing out recoil for a few vehicle weapons in this release, which will visually affect the player when firing certain ship weapons. An option to scale the effects of the recoil and to disable them has been added. The following weapons have been equipped with recoil. So the KNW Panther Repeater, the ANR Cannon S4, the size 4, and the RSI Polaris Cannon. So those now have recoil. All right. And then 3D comms notification building blocks update. Updating the comms calls with the new 3D building block updates, passing the character's face and animations through the viewers during mini missions and other communications. So 411, you're going to hear it in the video. 411 is the largest patch since 4.0. It's the most content, the most updates. I can't wait. I cannot wait for it, but they're doing it for Invictus Launch Week. It scares me so much. All right. Our second news to report is the Pledge Store refreshing. The site is changing. It's rolling out soon. If it hasn't already, I actually have to confirm. So here we go. As shared on our website changes coming your way post, we're continuing our efforts to improve the RSI web experience, something you may have already noticed through recent updates to the navigation bar, account dashboard, and more. Next up is the Pledge Store, where our latest updates focus on improving navigation and presenting all available pledges and packs as clearly and intuitively as possible. Here are some of the initial updates coming to the Pledge Store. The Pledge Store homepage. It now features a new, cleaner interface and simplified navigation for quicker access to ships, paints, packs, merchandise, and more. In the ship detail pages, we've restructured how each ship is presented to better highlight its role, focus, and what's included in the pledge. As with previous updates to the comms link, issue council, community hub, and RSI launcher, these changes are part of a broader initiative to improve your experience across our platforms. While we've made great strides already, there's more to come. Stay tuned for updates. We'll be sharing more information soon. In the meantime, we'll be monitoring how these updates are received and welcome your feedback. As always, thank you for your continued support. So let's just go to the store and let's find out. Now, what I will tell you is I have a hot link, or I have a link that I've saved that already goes to the extras and prioritizes by price. So if you go to extras and prioritize by price, everything is on here. I think everything is on here except for paints. And I don't necessarily concern myself with paints, to be very honest with you. So when I come here for individual ships, I'll come here for Invictus Launch Week. I already have this kind of sorted out. So this is why this link looks a lot different than maybe what you look at. So we'll just go here to the pledge store, and there have been changes. I have confirmed that at least. So here is the new pledge store, right? At the top here, you got game packages, ships, paints, merchandise, ship upgrades, gear, subscriber store. So you've got a really good landing page, right? And what's cool is when you go into ships, you can choose your job that you want to fulfill. So if you go into ships, you click on that guy. It pulls up the manufacturers up top, but look here. It also has a nice view. I think you could do this in the older as well. It just looks better. You have this nice view of like roles. And so if I wanted to buy the best transport, so I'm going to go here and I'm going to click on transport. These are all the transport ships. And then you can sort by, price, high to low. So according to this, available to buy, right? Available to purchase. The most expensive transport vehicle is the Constellation Taurus right now for $200. Freelancer Max, C1 Spirit, Freelancer, and so on. So I like the layout. I think they've done really good. And I've said before that we absolutely need, we're in 2955 in game, 2025 out of game. We need to have it look that way, especially if Squadron 42 is coming out next year. We need to have things that are ready, kind of at our expected experiences. I don't know, like you go into other games, like the Grand Theft Auto store online looks phenomenal. The Red Dead Redemption online store looks phenomenal. It's that experience, but it's like in a like newspaper kind of setting. I love it. So I think there's some opportunities there as well. Okay, my favorite topic. My favorite topic is the subscription promotions. Okay, so bear with me here as I try not to be too sarcastic. So on the left here, you've got I think it's Tavaran War. We're going to find out here in a couple seconds, but you have a uniform that was used in a previous war. It's copy and paste. They have actually sold this uniform in the past, so it's now just available again. At least I could be wrong, but in my observation, it's the same uniform. They didn't change anything. There's no year. There's not like 2955, or there's no Invictus Launch Week 2955. It's the uniform from the war. But here is your infamous Idris P t-shirt. So, yeah. I don't know. Does this mean anything? Does it mean anything? All right. And then the background, you've got the badges or the patches. The patches are also available as well. And then you've got your pistols. So let's actually go down and read some of this stuff. Okay. The Idris P t-shirt is available to all Centurion level subscribers. Celebrate 80 years of the Idris P with this limited edition t-shirt, featuring a schematic type style on the front and the Aegis Dynamics logo on the back. I mean, it looks cool. It really does look cool. I would actually, if I was role playing and they had quick mechanisms to change clothes in the game, I would absolutely, I would actually love to have this t-shirt. All right. Here is your Imperator level subscriber. So Mounted inside a beautiful display case, the collection features 3 patches honoring the naval bases used over the centuries to train recruits into the brave starmen who dedicate their lives to defending humanity. Sorry, I'm kind of thinking about what I want to say as I read that. The patches are cool. They look good. They look like legitimate patches coming from a veteran myself. So I think they were really well done. And I do love how the wording is actually like legible. It's like you can actually read the wording. So many times in so many games, it hints at wording. Like it has like a plaque and you can kind of see scribble and it's like, okay, I get it. It looks like it's writing, but it doesn't have actual content. This actually has content. I really love how they did this. I love how they did in one of the missions, like the Fight for Pyro missions, how they have that display that goes in your hangar. Like even that has plaques that you can read and there's like a narrative on that. I think they're doing really good. They're doing really well at this kind of level of detail. So I want to celebrate the team. It's a small item that goes in your hangar. So it's going to be really cool when this continues to get built out and you can build like a little office inside of your hangar or in your base when base building becomes a thing. This would be kind of fun to have like on your desk. Okay. And then you've got the store, right? The store purchasable item is this collection. So you get everything you see in the photo. It contains the Invictus patch collection with the display case, the second Tavaran War Service uniform, which is the jacket and trousers, the Idris P t-shirt, and then the Gemini LH86 Voyager Edition pistol. So I don't know. I think this is the first month promo that I would have liked to have had. It's May. So just full transparency on how I feel about this. It's May. It's the 5th month of the year. This is the first time that I'm like, okay, if I was a subscriber, I would totally dig this. I would totally like this month's gear. What are your thoughts on this? The vehicle of the month. This, okay, again, I don't know. I don't know what the subscriber team, that's a sub team of a team. I get it, but I don't know what they're thinking. Like, why are the vehicles of the month the 600i? So it's the 600i Explorer and the 600i Touring available. Why? Invictus Launch Week is a military celebration that only sells military vehicles. And granted, you'll have access to rent all of those and fly for free regardless. Okay, tracking. So maybe they didn't want to put a military vehicle because you could have rented it anyways. But why the 600i? Like, I don't know. There's nothing military about it. It's broken. Like, I say it's broken. Let me correct myself. It's not. I have the executive edition and it still has issues with like the elevator. It clips out. You can't see, like when you're in the cockpit area and you're walking towards the elevator, everything behind you looks like it's damaged. It's destroyed. So there's just a lot of clipping, a lot of, issues with it. I don't know. Maybe it's just the executive edition. Maybe that's just screwed up. And I think for that kind of money, it shouldn't be. I'll leave it there. I don't know. It's a beautiful ship. I love the 600i. It has the best habitation in the game, the best sleeping arrangement in the game. The views are beautiful. It's actually a very nimble ship for its size. I love it. Why? It's not Invictus Launch Week. It's not military. I don't know. What are your thoughts, guys? What are your thoughts on the 600i being the May subscriber gear or ships? Okay, but while I'm sharing my screen, let's just go straight into the roadmap update. We are now at the hour mark on the podcast, and we still have a video to get through. We still have my lore drop, so let's get going. All right, notable changes for May 7th. We have missions, local site maintenance. This is now in the release view for 4.1. So missions, local site maintenance, missions, animal population control, mission hunt the Polaris. New hairstyles, the Volt SMG, the Components Balance Pass, the Wicklow Special Ships, And then retroactively, they go back in time and talk about 410. I'm not going to waste your time with that because that's frustrating. Like, it's a roadmap update, but they're telling us what they did do. Like, for me, that's not a roadmap. A roadmap is like forward looking. Anyways, let's go down to the progress tracker. This is another thing that frustrates me, but what's the point of having a roadmap if everything's redacted? And I don't know if I want it addressed. I don't know if I want it fixed. I'm not saying CIG, like, ruin surprises. That's not what I'm saying. It's just, I'm starting to lose understanding of the relevance of a roadmap update. If they're going back in time to say, hey, here is what we've launched, we know. We're in the damn game. Like, we're there, right? We're there. We see it and we feel it. So I don't think that's necessarily important for a roadmap update. But if you're going to redact everything, I actually consider not having this as a segment on the show. So I'm sharing my screen, but we've made a few additions to the progress tracker, which you can review below. Just a reminder, when progress on a deliverable is marked as complete, it doesn't necessarily mean we're ready for its release. It may still require downstream support, transition to another team for further work, or other additional steps before completion. So here we go, guys. Here's what's to expect. A redacted sandbox activity, a redacted sandbox location, radiation gameplay. Okay. All right. Redacted vehicle, redacted creature. Okay, whatever. So the redacted vehicle, that's very specific. It's singular. It's not multiple. So I don't know, Idris, why not? Like, let's just throw it out there. Like, I'm making guesses at this point. So maybe it's the Idris, but it could also be the Ironclad, the Perseus, right? It could be multiple options. So like, I don't know. Can't even do that. The redacted creature, I think we're very, very, very close to seeing the big worm, the raid boss worm. They've already got the small ones out for the Hathor mining missions. I can see that redacted creature being the massive worm, which would also be the activity and the location. All right, the sandbox activity would be that raid boss with the big worm. Sandbox location, I think we already know Daymar. I think we already know Aberdeen. I think we know the location. So maybe this is different. The sandbox location might be different, but that might be hinting at the future raid mission with the worm. Maybe. I don't know. What are your thoughts on the roadmap update? Is it worth a segment on the podcast? It's gonna have to be changed a little bit for us to start for me to start caring again about the roadmap update. So I don't know. We haven't had really good news or surprises or anything drop from a roadmap update in quite some time. So, all right, I'm going to continue sharing my screen, guys. There is a Star Citizen monthly report. We don't have time to get through it all. But if you're watching your emails, if you're listening to this podcast, if you're on socials, I think a lot of this information is already like being shared in one medium or another. So to come here and read through all of it, I think if I'm going to omit something, this is something that would be easily to omit. So it comes through and talks about missions. It talks about, what's happening in the community, etc., which again, in some way, shape, or form, we already address at some point in the show. Okay, so then with that being said, here is your Inside Star Citizen. Let's watch this video. I'm actually really excited. This like reinvigorates me for the rest of the podcast. I'm excited about Inside Star Citizen. I'm excited about the mission Compossible. There's a lot to go through in this episode. They go through the 60 plus missions to expect that are going to drop hopefully in the next couple of days. But then they also preview Invictus Launch Week. But I want you to note that the Asgard is the flyable ship that they use in this game or in this video. And the Gray Cat ground vehicle, it's MTC, MPC. I don't know what it stands for or what it is, but it's you'll see that here as well. So let's get into it. I'm going to hit play and we'll react accordingly. So here we go. Hopefully it's not too loud.
I like making missions because it's an intellectual challenge and it's a creative challenge. I like playing through the content and seeing things through a player's eyes and trying to craft an experience.
Do you think players like missions?
I hope players like missions. In Alpha 411, we are going to be dropping about 60 new missions, and it's going to be our biggest drop since 4.0. Let's start with our big headline.
Okay, that vehicle you just saw was the Guardian MX. Let's see if I can get a good screen grab. And I won't be doing this throughout the entire...
New missions, and it's going to be our biggest drop.
All right, pretty damn sure this is the Guardian MX. And I'm trying to... Where would it show on the HUD? And of course, this up here is screwing me up. I'm pretty sure this is the Guardian MX. We got 4 guns being fired off. I'm very, very confident that this is one of the new ships.
Since 4.0. Let's start with our big headliner, Hunt the Polaris. Hunt the Polaris is a mission where the Frontier Fighters have stolen a UEE Polaris, which was bound for Invictus, and they're trying to escape with it and get it back to Pirate. Your job is to stop them.
We can't let them get away.
In order to stop them, you are chasing them around Stanton. You have to search for them, you have to ambush them, you have to defend other ships from them as well as they continue on their path to Pyro.
When you encounter the Polaris, it won't be alone. It will have some Frontier Fighter friends as backup.
Let's get the hell out of here.
What's really cool about this mission is you don't even have to do it alone.
The Polaris quantumed away.
The UE have sent their own guys as well. And there's a hammerhead that, if you keep alive, will help keep you alive too. I think it'll be a really good test of just how strong your friends are, and yourself too.
Next, there are 12 different patrol contracts split between Headhunters and Foxwell.
The Foxwell being the faction that gives you the legal version of these missions, and Headhunters will give you the illegal version.
Foxwell Enforcement, they've hit hard times, so their background checks and whoever they hire is a bit more loosey-goosey.
Headhunters are now operating for the first time in Stanton. The Headhunters want you to patrol an area of space that they consider their own and make sure their interests are allowed to operate safely.
The patrol missions in 411 are a little different than our standard missions. We wanted a mission that was not linear. You will go to a point throughout space, and it will randomly generate between our pool of current objectives. Currently, there's 4 objectives that it can generate between. So you'll go to point number 1. It will pick between one of those 4 objectives for you to complete. Once you complete it, it will send you to another point in space where it will generate another objective, and so on until you've completed 3 points.
Scans are showing outlaws inbound.
Objective 1 is a traditional kill all the ships that appear. That doesn't really require any more explanation. Objective 2 is protect a ship that's under attack from the bad guys. Objective 3 is a new objective called Search and Destroy. And Objective 4 is what we're calling the empty objective.
Not seeing anything.
Where you show up and actually nothing happens. I have to say that so people don't think it's a bug. Search and Destroy is a new objective that we've created. We wanted an objective that was less heavy on combat.
The player will go to the location and they'll receive a certain number of areas to discover. It's up to the player to go there and ping and scan with their ship scanners and discover what's going to happen. The player may discover friendly probe, that's one of the UEEs. You're just going there to make sure it's all operational.
Everything is in order.
Or you may discover that there's a hostile one. It's been hacked by another organization and you're there to destroy it.
Seems this satellite's been hacked by outlaws. You're gonna have to take it out.
In some cases, if you destroy it, then the people who own the satellite won't be very happy with you, so they'll QT in and start attacking you.
Target destroyed.
We're hoping that if this mission goes over well, we can slowly add to that pool to make Patrol a sort of mission that will continue to expand upon until we have, say, 15 or 20 random objectives that can trigger. But Really, we're only going to do that if you guys like it, so let us know how you feel.
I'm Lucas Baransko, but my students call me Gilly.
Longtime players might remember Gilly from the tutorial from way back in the day. Gilly is a very experienced combat veteran. It was really good to have him in the game the first time round.
Gilly also appears in 3 new Invictus training exercises, where you'll be able to be shown what a patrol mission could be like.
Prepare to engage.
This is not a tutorial, but it is a series of increasingly difficult combat scenarios.
These 3 missions are so that the player can feel like they're part of the UEE, so that they can get a taste of what it's like to be part of the organisation that protects Stanton.
Congrats on completing another part of your course.
These are just here while the Invictus event is on to add a little bit more flavour.
There are also now 12 new ambush contracts, also split between Foxwell and Headhunters.
An ambush mission is where you lie in wait for your target to appear before striking them fast and hard.
So it's a mission for...
No, for tactical masterminds. So Foxwell is giving these ambush missions because they are being paid by outside contractors to take down dangerous individuals around the Stanton and Pyro systems, which are causing trouble for their clients.
Nice. Done.
And Handhunters, well, they just ambush anyone. They want stuff.
When you get to the ambush location, you will be asked to hide inside a new high emission zone.
Which means that the enemy can't detect you when they jump in. So first there's a wave of scouts that shows up, and they're gonna scan for their valuable transport to arrive on time. And since they don't detect you, they give the all clear. The target arrives, and that's the moment you jump out of the high emission zone, which will make you appear on radar, but it's too late for them to escape, and that's when you take down the cargo hauler. I'm really excited about these missions because the high mission zones will unlock further options for anyone to make really cool missions, both PvE and PvP related.
Many of these new missions have a chance to spawn an ace pilot.
This guy's just picked up a ship that we've tagged is extremely dangerous.
This part is so interesting.
With the Headhunters or the UEE, you won't always know when they're going to arrive. So they will always be a sort of rogue variable inside those missions that you'll have to deal with.
Talking about their skill levels.
Oh yeah, their skills crank. I can't crank it any harder. So I'm thinking, so skilled is definitely their name.
And if you are lucky enough to be able to take him out, you can loot his corpse, and he will have some considerable amount of guild scrip on him. These scrip are in-game items that you can pick up and collect. You are getting 1 scrip for a council and 1 scrip for the Mercenary Guild. And you can use them as currency for collector missions. He really, really wants these guild scrip. As part of Invictus, we are adding our very first ones as a kind of scavenger hunt around the halls. We're also giving them away as mission rewards for the new combat missions. So there will be even more ways to get those new collector ships. Oh, there's also new collector ships this patch, but I don't know what they are.
I do.
Of course, it wouldn't be Invictus without visiting the Invictus halls.
This year's Invictus Launch Week returns to Area 18. As you're in the shuttle and approaching the Battle Convention Center, you get met with the new slogan of this year's Invictus. As you walk out of the shuttle, we walk into the lobby and we take the elevator down. We get met with the beautiful hologram of the mighty Idris itself. As we're walking further into the halls, you'll be able to find all the new ships for this year's Invictus. We can see that this year's Invictus looks a little bit different than what we're used to. This year Invictus will not feature different daily layouts, but instead has a better, well-crafted layout for the entire duration of Invictus. We can see that there's extra care being taken in the presentation of the ships. This really shows the might of the UE. At the entrance of the halls, we can see the rental kiosks. This is where you'll this year be able to rent
let's
the
go
various
back.
ship.
Let's
This
go back.
really shows the might of the
All right.
UE.
There you go. So let's play a little bit longer.
At the end.
Boom. Okay. So here are your three of the new ships. So the Grey Cat MTC, right? So on the far left, let's get rid of this crap. Hopefully I can X out. There we go. All right. So you've got the Grey Cat MTC on the far left, right? Which almost looks like a rival to the Ursa, maybe. In the middle, you have the Starlancer TAC. No news there. Like we knew about that. Then you have the Guardian MX, right? So the Guardian MX. So you've got those three. You have a fourth. Well, you have 4 plus the TAC. So here's 2 of them. What are the other 2? That's the question. But right now, as you're seeing on the screen, 3 of the new ships are revealed out of the 5, I believe. So this is a great screenshot. All right, here we go.
Entrance of the halls, we can see the rental kiosks. This is where you'll this year be able to rent the various ships. Make sure to return to these kiosks as they are on a daily/bi-daily rotation. Invictus this year is not just about ships, but it's about the way that you customize your ships, how you create your own experience with your vehicles, and how you truly make your vehicles your own. So let's check out the Idris tour at Area 18 Central. As you walk and you look up, you can already see that the Idris is hanging straight above. We'll go towards the IO North Tower and take the elevators up. As we continue over the platform, we get met with the Idris itself. Please take some time to explore. I'm super excited about Invictus this year. I think we've done something a little bit unexpected. I think the way that everything came together really clicked this year. I hope that the players will also see the care and love that we put into making this year's Invictus special.
Overall, 411 is a big suite of ship combat content. It's been a little while since we've gotten to do something like this. We've heard some of the criticism that sometimes we're FPS citizen, and we hope this goes some way to help address it.
How do you feel having this patch sit on your shoulders?
I think it's a lot of pressure, but it's also very, very motivating. There's a lot of work to do, but we know we can do it. Just got to get it done.
And as you can see, this year's Invictus is going to operate just a little differently than years before. Now, in addition to the more than 60 new mission contracts being added to Alpha 411, there's also a new way to earn secondary currency for Wicklow and, in the future, his guild brethren, new ace pilots to test the mettle of our greatest flyers, and then, of course, our first tour of the Idris Peacekeeper and a more robust convention center than ever before. One that loses the rotating inventory to highlight all the ships arriving at this year's event simultaneously. There's also those new flight blades y'all have been talking about online, and even some weapon and item packs that'll let you breathe new life into existing vehicles like never before. You can learn all about that stuff on the robertsspaceindustries.com website as the event starts proper on May 15th. And then it continues to cycle through all of our manufacturers every 2 days until the end of the event. That part stays the same. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the people and process of game development with you, and we'll start learning about the last 4 vehicles making their debut at this year's event next week. And then the week after. It's a 2-week thing.
There is additional content. You can actually apply to be part of their creative team and help them create videos. So it's like Cloud Emporium Games or CIG, cloudimperiumgames.com/jobs. You can go on there and be part of their creative team if you want to star in their videos or help them create content. So do that if you want to. I don't have time. So, all right, here we go. We're going to get into the second week of our lore series for Invictus Launch Week. So let's do this. I'm looking forward to it. It began with a single warning, a ripple in the silence of space. And when it reached the heart of the United Planets of Earth, it struck like a thunderclap. Welcome back, traveler, to the Beyond the Verse. To Beyond the Verse. To Beyond the Verse. In this second chapter of our Invictus Launch Week lore series, we'll leave the fragile halls of the Tribunal behind and step onto the battlefield. Because history remembers the victors, yes, but it also remembers those who dared to challenge them. This is the story of the First Tavaran War. It was 2541 when the Tavaran made their presence known. A proud warrior race, native to the planet Elysium 4, or as they called it, Karul. The Tavaran had watched humanity expand unchecked. To them, we were invaders, outsiders, and so they struck first. Armed with advanced technology and a warrior's discipline, the Tavaran launched a devastating surprise on the UPE colony of Indra. In moments, the fragile unity of the tribunal was tested as never before. The High General mobilized the military, but the UPE had grown complacent, disunited, unprepared. What followed was a brutal 5-year conflict that stretched across multiple star systems. The Tavaran, led by their charismatic warlord Korathal, fought not for expansion, but for reclamation. They believed humanity had taken what was rightfully theirs, and they fought with the ferocity that caught the UPE off guard. But the tribunal, fractured as it was, had one advantage: numbers. Humanity's industrial might began to turn the tide. Shipyards across the UPE roared to life. New warships, new weapons, and new strategies began to overwhelm the Tavaran. System by system, they were pushed back until finally, in 2546, Korathal's fleet made one last desperate stand. It ended, as all things must. The Tavaran homeworld was bombarded, its proud cities reduced to ruin, and Korathal was never seen again. The war had ended, but peace had a price. The citizens of the UPE, weary from conflict, looked to the tribunal for strength and found only division. It was in this moment of uncertainty that a new figure stepped from the shadows. A decorated war hero who promised unity, stability, and a future without fear. His name was Ivar Messer. Next week, we will follow the rise of the man who turned victory into a throne and reshaped the UPE into something far more powerful and far more dangerous. The war may have ended, but the real battle for humanity's soul was just beginning. There you have it, guys. Episode 2 in our lore series, going into Invictus. Guys, I hope this has found you well. I hope there was gold nuggets and a great conversation to be had. If anything, I hope this was entertaining for you. If you want to become part of the conversation, you can do so at emailing us at contact@beyondtheversehq.com, or go to our website to learn everything there is to learn about what we do. That's beyondtheversehq.com and soulprovision.com. Yes, you can join our in-game organization, Soul Provision, by doing that. And become part of a community that's growing and thriving and having a bunch of fun in what we can do in Star Citizen at this moment. Last comment made about Extra Life. If you want to give to children's hospitals, you can do so at beyondtheversehq.com/give and be part of this movement to help support our children. All right. I hope this finds everybody well. Safe travels as you traverse beyond the verse. Take care, everybody.